All right, welcome to another episode of the Mama Mindset. Super excited about today's guest. We have the goal of speaking to 1,000 moms from all around the world. Ultimately, I know that as a first time mom, it's so important to hear information, hear other people's stories because it encourages you, but it's also great to just learn, take some quote unquote mom hacks and apply it to your journey here. So today's guest, she goes by the name of Camille McLean. She's a 28-year-old content creator, education, follower of Christ. She's been married to her husband, Gerald McLean, second for 6 years, and now they have five. Yeah, five children. We're going to get into that. She has a bachelor's and master's in education, and recently she's in a pursuit of her doctoral in educational leadership. She's also a worship leader and a singer, and she might eventually be called into full-time ministry. Maybe we talk about that a little bit too. She's the daughter of Deborah and Charles Alexander, who unfortunately passed away in 2005. She says if her dad was alive, then her parents would have been married for 40 plus years now. That's something that I can relate to. So we'll probably talk about that too. She's super excited about living out the life that God made for her. And she's just really ready to do whatever God, wants and is calling her to do. So without further ado, let's welcome to the Mama Mindset, Camille. How are you
Thanks
doing
for
today, Camille?
having me. I'm excited to be here. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's another day in mommy land. I'm trying to see what was today's adventure. Today we went on a walk. She stayed up for part of the walk. And she was grabbing at my water bottle today, which was interesting. 'Cause I'm drinking water all the time, so I guess that's only right that that's like what she ends up taking an interest in and what she's trying to get into. So that was today's
My
adventure. What about you? What was your adventure today?
oh my goodness, my adventure. I don't even know where to start. I think my adventure came from my little one, music. He's all over the place, all of the time. That's my one of my twins, the youngest twin. Then I had adventures with my
Okay.
husband. So we don't talk about the husband adventures. Then we had have some adventures with my daughter, who is her birthday just recently came, so she wants to do her nails and all of the things. So it is just everything all the time. My little boy just want to play the tablet all the time. My eldest boy and my youngest son, he just want to dance all the time. He's good. Now my baby, on the other hand, it's always an adventure with her. So it's been a day. It's been a day for sure. I could go on and give you a story for every hour. I promise I could.
That's hilarious. Well, that's part of having five children, right? So let's get in right into that. Like, what made you want to have five? Like, was that the original goal, or did we just kind of land there, or what
No,
happened? What had happened
I don't
was,
know. It's my husband's fault, but I honestly just I didn't know this really until the other like a few months ago. I was talking to one of my old college friends, and she was like, "Do you remember that you were talking about you wanted to have five kids when we were in college?" And I was like, "I did." And she was like, "Yeah, you did." I was like, "Girl, I did not remember that." So obviously, it was something that I always had wanted. And the crazy thing is, we would have had six. I lost one um, in
wow.
2022, like right after my twins would have been born. I would have been pregnant with another one not too long after. But we ended up with our baby girl, Melody, who is our rainbow baby. Yeah, I don't know how the goal ended up being five at one point, but I assumed that it was. And so we ended up with my 5 year old. Well, she's six now. She just turned six this month. My 6 year old girl, Harmony. And then we ended up with my son. His name is Gerald the fourth. He's the fourth Gerald. So we have my husband, who is the second Gerald. And then he has a brother who's the third Gerald. And
Okay.
my husband's father is the first Gerald, and they just was wondering who was gonna have the son. So my husband ended up with the son, so he got the fourth Gerald. And so we got Gerald the fourth, who is 4 years old now, and then we have the twins. Older twins that are they're two. They'll be three next month, and then we would have had the baby girl. I just named her actually. I lost her in 2022, but I
Okay.
literally just named her like last week, and I named her Choir Angel. All of our kids have
Mm,
musical names. So her first name would have been Choir. All of our kids have middle initial A. So I just thought Angel was perfect. So Choir Angel, we would have had
mm.
her. And then we have Melody, who was just born in July. So she is my.
Wow. Okay, so your oldest is, did you say six? Is the oldest six, or you in the thick of it? That's tough. Did any of you come from big families? Like, did your husband come from a big
He
family?
has I guess you could say it's big. He has two brothers and a sister. So I think I would say that that's kind of
Okay.
big, but it was just me.
Mm-hmm.
I always knew I wanted my children to have a sibling. I didn't know it was going to be as many as it is. But
Gotcha. So, do you think growing up as an only child, is that something where like you felt like you missed out? So when it was time for you to start your family, you wanted them to have
for
some?
sure, I know that that plays a lot of part in like friendships too. Like always trying to find the right friend and things like that. But it's like, Mom, if you would have had another one, I wouldn't have to find no friends. I would have just had my sister or brother and been good. I definitely knew I wanted to have more than one, but yeah, it was. I think that being an only child had a lot to do with it.
Gotcha. No, that's interesting. Well, we're thinking about making my baby Sky an only child because I don't think I can get into it multiple times. I don't think I got it.
You might got one more left.
That's where we're at right now.
You might got one. He said,
I I don't think so. At least not coming out of me. We might do surrogate,
And we're for
adoption,
that. That's
something
crazy
like
that you
that.
talk about that. Because even though I know I have a lot, I feel like later on in life, just because I'm 28, I feel like later on in life will be even more established that I probably would want to adopt or do a surrogate. If that sounds crazy, but I definitely probably would.
It's not. It's not coming out of you, so it's just like, you know what I'm saying. We get to skip to the whole. We just and we get to mentally prepare. Especially you already did it 5 times, so you know what those first 3 months are like. You could just go ahead and just mentally prepare for it. It's my first time going through it, so it was just like, yo, what is this? Why? How Sway? How am I supposed to make it through this? It
Oh,
was a
this guy.
lot. So, and then on top, she's 4 months. She'll be 4 months next week. Yeah, she's at a really cute age, whereas everything is just like we wake up, she's smiling, and like she can't really tell me anything, but she tells me stuff.
That's so sweet.
It is like every day, like we said, every day is a new adventure. Like I don't know, but I'm excited every morning that we get up and I'm like, I just tell them like it's gonna be a great day. I have no idea what we're doing. It's gonna be a
Yes.
great day. And she be excited too. She wake up, she sees me, she's like, and I'm like,
So
okay.
sweet.
I love that. Okay, so you talked about, unfortunately, one of your kids passed away, right? Did make it to full term. What was that experience like
It
for
was
you?
wild. It was the craziest experience, especially like I said just now, naming the baby. I feel like I didn't even realize that that brought up a lot of trauma for me. I think it might have just reached from, like you talked about my dad. I found him actually when I was 9 years old when he had passed. I found him in a car, and then when I was 17, I found my grandmother who had passed. And so I'm like, now I'm holding my dead baby in my hand. Like, this is not what's up, Lord. I am not feeling this. This is not what I want to do right now. I'm like, what is going on? So it was a little traumatizing. Just going through that whole process. I actually was doing some ministry at that time. I was traveling on a plane, passing blood clots, passing all of the extra
Wow.
stuff. Like I didn't even know it. Just I just woke up that morning, and after I had passed the baby, I had told my husband I think I was having a miscarriage, and I heard a plop in the toilet. Looked in the toilet, it was the baby. It picked the baby up out the toilet, and just I didn't know what to do. I was like, I don't. What am I supposed to? What do you do with this? And
What do you do?
I
What
didn't
did you
know.
do? Like seriously,
I
what did you
literally
do?
didn't know, and I had to ask the Lord to forgive me for this. I literally just discarded it. After I saw her, I prayed and I looked at her. I showed my husband, and I just put her in the toilet. And
How old?
11
How old
weeks.
was the baby?
11 weeks. So you could
Oh,
barely
okay.
have well, if I show you a picture, girl, you'll notice. But you could see her head, her eyes, her little body that was forming. But here's the blessing in all of it, because even though it was a sad thing, when I went to the doctor, I showed the doctor the picture. She was telling me on her brain there would have been something going on. And she was like, "So your body actually aborted that baby because it would have been something that
Mm-hmm.
would have happened, and y'all would have had to deal with a lifetime of infunctionality." And I was like, oh, well, thank you, Lord. Even though it was a loss and all of that, it's like you still find your ways of healing. And so, like I said, it's been a journey. I just named her, and it's been 2 years. So, it's been a
Mm-hmm.
thing, but God has seen us through, honestly. I feel like we might have taken a hit with that we didn't realize. I know that a lot of people don't talk about like therapy and stuff, but my husband and I just started talking about how we should probably go, because I know that that's a conversation that we really don't talk about often. And so I think that that's a thing that we need to normalize. Yeah, that was the experience.
Yeah, that's I can't imagine having that experience, and it is definitely something that people don't talk about because, like you said, what do you do in that scenario? There's no, I don't think there's a right way to respond. Especially like that happened, and then you were pregnant, so your hormones, I can imagine, was off, and even having postpartum. Did you guys try again, like for a kid, like fairly quickly, or what was your
Well, actually,
process?
we weren't trying for anything, and it was a random day
Okay.
that I saw. She was 4 years old at the time. My little girl, my eldest girl, I think she was four, or just about in between 4 and 5. But she was in her room and she was praying. And I was like, "What's she praying for, Lord?" I heard her say, "Lord, please let my mom and dad have a sister for me." And I'm like, "This must not be your will, because this ain't what I just know. This ain't your will." Kid you not, a few months later, we found out we were pregnant. And so, honestly, my daughter prayed her little sister. It's funny that she got that rainbow behind you, because we call her our rainbow baby. So she prayed her here. We weren't trying to have nothing.
So now that we're at kid number 5, can you say you're done? Well, you said you would be open later on, but as of right now,
Oh,
is the
yes, for
shop
5 years
closed?
it will be. For 5 years for sure. So we got some stuff to do. We got places to go, people to see, cause to fulfill. So I don't think that being pregnant right now is something that we need it out.
So, I mean, we kind of touched on it, but like, how did you and your husband meet?
It's crazy how we met. There was this young lady, and I'll just say her name. Her name's Henrietta. And so we went to the same college. They told me the whole time that I was in this college, because she graduated the year before I got there. They told me the whole time I was there, "You remind me of her. You act like her. You sound like her. She sings. We both sing. You sing like her." I was like, "Okay." I didn't know why people were so buzzing about Henrietta, but it's crazy because 3 years into my college journey, she ended up messaging me on Snapchat, or almost 4 years into my college journey. And she was like, "Hey, there is this random," and we had never spoken before, never actually seen each other in physical. She just found me on Snapchat. And she was like, "There's this guy. I keep talking to him. And every time I talk to him, I think I see you. I don't know. It may sound weird, but would you be willing to, talk to him?" I said, "Let me see how he look, because if he ugly, I ain't having no ugly kids." That's all I'm saying. She was like, she sent me a picture, and I was just like, "He's cute." He had on like a little blue shirt. He was like mixing at a little studio thing, like an event on the picture. And so I was like, "I guess he's cute. You can send him my number." And so we ended up exchanging phone numbers, and he ended up texting me, and we literally only talked for a week, and we're boyfriend and girlfriend in a week. And then October, December, January, February, March. By March, we were engaged. By August, we were married. And by December, we had Harmony. Our life moved pretty fast,
Wow.
quickly.
Oh my goodness. So at what age were
Oh, it
you at
was in
this? So this is what, 4?
2018. Was I 22? I'm 28 now. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's
That sounds
crazy.
about right. That is life
Uh
comes at
huh.
you
Well,
fast, and then you
2017,
have a
actually.
baby.
Yes. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
That year don't even sound right no more. Like it's just like
2017.
don't it don't even sound right. It like
I know
woo Lord.
sometimes I have to think of it like, oh, it's like the 1916s. 1990. Like in my head to try to equivalate it together. I'm like, because it's just crazy how we in the beginning of the 2000s is it's wild.
It's really wild. It's like very much a wild thing, but here we are. Nonetheless, here we are. My goodness. All right. So you talked about, Henrietta sang like you, so I'm guessing like you sing in the church. Like when you met your husband, was he also Christian? Like was that like a key focus of like how you
Oh
guys
wow.
clicked, or did that come
Our first date was at the church. Like I sat in front of him, a few
okay.
rows in front of him, and he was a few rows behind me. And we went to Bible study. So yeah, that's how that went. And what's crazy is he waited for me that day. I had choir rehearsal at praise team rehearsal. So it's a small group of us. After the Bible study, and I was like, well, if you're willing to wait, we can go eat dinner after. And he's like, yeah, I'm willing to wait. And I'm like, what did he got going on? Willing to wait. I didn't know that first of all, the choir rehearsal ended up being almost 3 hours. It was like 2 hours and some minutes. He waited out there the whole time. And we ended up going to Huey's after. So I know a lot of people may say that it's crazy.
Huey's, where's that
The
at?
Lord set the atmosphere.
Where you know what? Huey's, where is that
Oh,
at?
I'm
Like
in
what state are you guys in?
Tennessee. So Huey's is like this burger joint. It's like they throw toothpicks at the ceiling. Like it's
What?
pretty cool though. It's like this really, I don't know, like Western like place. But their food is good.
Okay. I mean, interesting. Very interesting. I'm trying to see. I mean, we have In and Out here. I'm in Cali, so we have In and Out. Five Guys is out here. I'm not like into burgers that much, but like those would be like our burger
Yeah.
places. And then there's a bunch of like dive places in like LA, like small places you can go to. I'm more into like chicken
Yeah.
sandwiches, so I know like every chicken sandwich place. But I haven't had a chicken sandwich in months because Sky decided that she wanted to have a food insensitivity to chicken. So, and I'm breastfeeding. So I can't eat any
Oh
chicken.
my
Yeah,
goodness.
right.
Oh,
Insane.
that's
So to know
crazy.
me,
What do you
right? Like
what do
to
you
know
eat
how
now?
much fish and turkey. That's it. That's it.
Oh my
That's what I
God.
got. Turkey and fish because I didn't eat beef before anyway. So like if I was to try to pick that up now, I would probably be sick. So it's just like so what I have left is fish and turkey. That's what
I
I have left
hate
on the
that for
menu.
you.
It's okay. I was never like a huge foodie anyway. So like I really ate for energy. I was one of those people like if I have a good meal, it's like great, but if I have a bad meal, it's not that big of a deal. I'll just go
Yeah.
about my day. So it's not that big of a deal to me. But like I really do miss
Oh,
chicken
you
though. I
do?
can
Because
say
I
like
love
I
me some
miss
good
eating.
wings. I will eat some wings any day of the week.
And so mind you, right, my boyfriend, like he's on a special diet too. So he's
Yeah.
on keto and he's like it's very serious about his keto because it's a health thing
Yeah.
for him, right? And so we just all got special diets over here. Just special one, two, and three. We just he can't have half of the stuff. He can't have
Oh my
bread. He can't have none of
goodness.
that. No juice. No nothing, right? And then I can't have no chicken, so he eating all the chicken in the house. And then right now, Sky is just breastfeeding. It's just a
My
mess.
goodness. Everybody in their own stages.
Everybody in their own stage. I can't wait till she start eating some
You
food, some
ought to give
something,
her a
so
little
she can get off
bit. You said
mommy.
she's. You should do what we used to do around this age. Actually, around this
What?
age, I didn't do anything. Like when she first turned 4 months, all the way, I started giving Melody the rice in the cereal. the like a little bit of oatmeal and stuff in her
Okay.
milk. I poked a little hole that's a little bit bigger, and I started doing that. Just recently, I think it was two
Mm-hmm.
weeks ago, I gave her yogurt for the first time. So like 5 months is
Mm.
pretty fun. Her stool is very smooth. It just is, and she actually likes Pediasure too. So you could like try like different
Okay.
like so
Yeah, we said we're gonna look into it at like when she hits the
yeah
5 month mark, especially because her stomach is already so sensitive. Like we want it to grow a little bit, but her pediatrician said to start on it's like avocado and then go to like bananas and stuff and then land on like cereal. So we'll
yes
see.
girl.
I mean, I don't know.
I know it's so much.
I'm just at a will see. She won't take the bottle
Really?
either. She's strictly
Oh
strictly
my
off the
god.
boobs. She just started. Yep. So nobody can watch her.
What bottles do you use?
So we just like this all day long. We just no, we didn't try all of them. When I tell you I've tried every brand, I've went through 15 brands.
Oh
It's
my
not
god.
the brand. She just don't want to take the bottle. She's just got to the point where she'll take an ounce at a time. And then we also haven't made her go to like to the point where she would be like hungry enough to take it though. So that's gonna
Oh.
happen in like mid-January, which is not gonna be fun for my mom at all because that's who's gonna be watching her. But
So
yeah,
are you able to like pump? Do you have
she
enough
won't take.
supply for that?
I have enough. I have a. It don't matter. I have enough supply. She ain't taking the bottle, so it's just I can't be
Oh
that
my
far.
gosh. I feel so sad for your mom.
Yep,
I feel so sad for her.
she'll be She'll be fine. It's unavoidable. I have to go to I'm in the Coast Guard. I'm in the reserves, right? So we just do 1 week in a month. And so in January I'm gonna have to do that. And I'm gonna be like an hour and a half away. So it's like and it's not feasible for them to really come on base. So it's gonna come to a head. So we've been trying to get her to take it like slowly but surely. Like over the past like 3 weeks, she's building up. But she don't like the bottle. She want mommy booby. That's what she want,
Oh
mommy
my
booby.
goodness. But that's so sweet. I feel like enjoy those times because all my breastfeeding journeys were cut short. Like just because my kids just they want food. They just ready to eat. They want to eat whatever you eating. They don't care about no milk. They want to eat. And so like most of like I think the oldest or the longest was 10 months with Harmony that I got a chance to breastfeed. It just slowly started decreasing. Here we go with little Gerald. I ended up I think it was 8 months with him. Then with the twins, it was 4 months with them.
Mm-hmm.
Then with Melody, I think it was 3 months with her. I'm like, y'all don't want nothing. Y'all just want.
But it could be because they're around other kids that are eating too, though. You know what I'm saying? So it could just be like I want to do my what my siblings are doing. Like it could be that because I remember like I wanted to do everything my brother did. It didn't matter if it was good for me, bad for me, whatever. If my brother was doing something, I wanted to do it. So they're in an environment where all their siblings are eating. I want to eat. Why can't I eat? Hilarious. Right. So, so I'm curious, how does faith really show up like in your life? You talked about you met your husband at the church. First date was at the church. Is that still something that's like really active for you guys? Or you got 5 kids, like is it easy to go to church when you got 5 kids? Like,
Oh my goodness, is it easy? I'll start there. It is not easy. Do we get there? We do. We have been trying to do our best to always get there. Our worship lead. So there's very seldom time that we are not in the church. But just recently we have been not in the church and it's because we had Melody. So it's been a few months since we had been coming back, but this past Sunday and the Sunday before we have been consistent, and then we're going next Sunday. So there'll be 3 weeks of consistency of coming back to church after having the baby, which I feel like I needed that break. I feel like I always rush back
mhm.
into ministry right after having a child, and I don't feel like that's the healthiest thing to do. I think that you have to take
Mhm.
time to sit and recuperate and let the Lord talk to you and let Him speak to you and let Him take you to the mountain by yourself instead of always being in front of everybody like the Lord really had been dealing with me on the moment that you leave up out of your prayer closet your life is public. And I was just wondering how at first what he meant, but when I tell you like it meant so much when I started to realize, okay, faith is so important first of all. I pray in the morning. And so when I'm praying in the morning, I'm like, Lord, what do you want me to do for the day? And he's directing me to realize as soon as you leave up out of this part of your room, you are in the public. You in the public with your husband. You in the public with wherever you are. You are in the public right now with the kids. You are in the public. And so it God's really been just dealing with me with that. I know that this past month specifically has been something for me just because I have been really consistent at this waiting for 31 days of the Lord to do something great. And I think that he's going to do still something great before the year ends. And so even though we're going into 2025 in a day or so, it's like I really do think that he still wants to do some good stuff on the last day of the year. Like, and I don't know, but he has been impressing upon me to consistently post every day. Day 1 of 31 that the Lord is going to do something good for us. Day 2 of 31 that the Lord's going to do something good for us. And I've literally posted it on my page every single day. Just because I really do believe he wants to do something. I'll tell you two things. Well, I'll tell you one thing that he did do. Well, two things that he did do this month when I've been in faith with that was that at this one random day, I don't know what day it was, but it was just some random day. I was praying in the morning, and that's already a blessing because the crazy thing is I used to not wake up in the morning. I used to always be a morning person. All of a sudden, after I had the babies, I didn't want to wake up early in the morning. I wanted to sleep. But then I was like, Lord, I really want to wake up early again. Like, help me wake up early again. So this month, literally on December 1st, the Lord started waking me up between 3 and 5 every single day. It don't feel I have a 6 o'clock alarm set on my phone, but I always wake up before then. And so I've been waking up. I said, well, keep waking me up early. When you wake me up, I'll just go ahead and get up. I'm not going to go back to sleep. I'm not going to turn over. I typically would. But this month, I've been able to wake up way before my timer. So that's already something that the Lord is doing. So that's happening. But not only that, but it's just, I feel like faith is just the foundation of everything because earlier this month, I was asking the Lord, like, could you do something for my husband, like, to show him that you're doing something? Like, just show him something. And so it was a late night. That early morning, I had prayed that. Later on that night, my husband and I was having a date night, and we went to Walmart to get some things. And so there was this young man that stopped my husband. And he was like, hey, I want to give you something, talking just to my husband, because at the time I was talking to this other lady. And so he was like, well, what is it? And he was like, well, I want you to be in my vlog. I think you'll like it. My husband was like, nah, I don't want to be in no vlog. That's my wife's thing. She can do it. And so he let me do it out of honor. And the day I'm praying, Lord, do something for my husband. So this was originally my husband's blessing because he asked him first. He was like, you got a minute to go through the store. Get whatever you want. Get whatever you need to get. He was like, I got a car. Don't go over the budget. I'm like, is this happening for real? Is this a dream? Like, and it was crazy because just recently, and this is also playing in faith, I just recently got fired from my job for my faith. My boss mocked me for believing in Christ. And it's really a weird thing. It's a weird season that I am in. And so we got let go here, which explains where I am right now because I would be in a different setting, but we are still moving, and we're moving in with my mom who actually renovated her home. So we got plenty of space, and the Lord is still kind of still blessing. But so I told the young man a little bit about that situation. I was like, it's a blessing because I literally just got let go like a week or so ago. And so he was like, wow, get everything. So we just running through the store. We getting all kinds of stuff, and he ends up paying $386 worth of stuff. And I'm like, that was such a blessing. Wow. Like, that's only God that could have done that. Like, I asked the Lord to do that for my husband. He did it, though my husband honored me and let me do it. It was still originally for him. So it's just, that's one thing that he did just this month. And the second thing, of course, is being out here. It was literally a step of faith to just say, I want to send a message. I'm like, I want to do something I haven't done, and I've been wanting to do something like this, and this is an opportunity. Should I do it? I see it's already 100 people that done commented that she probably already got it. Like, I'm probably out the count. But then you emailed me and I'm like, this is awesome. Like, it was another sign. So, like, God is still doing great things before the year is out. And that is really how my faith really, that's just a little bit of what is going on in my faith.
I love that. No, one of my favorite Bible verses is "Faith without works is dead." So, like, how that translates to me, right? I guess my interpretation of that, right, goes into like one of my favorite sayings, which is like 90% of success is showing up. So you keep showing up. You show up for yourself, and then God
Yeah.
shows up for you. So it sounds like you're very much in that. And obviously, I'm super excited to have you here. But I think that, if the gym I give you is just keep showing up, like you said, you're going to be consistent for 30 days, and maybe what you want doesn't happen in those 30 days, show up for another 30 days, like, you know what I'm saying, and just keep doing it and keep doing it. And one thing that I've realized in my life is, like, anything that I was relentless, that I refused to accept no for,
Mm.
I got. And it may not have happened when I wanted it to happen, but it ended up happening. And so I take that with anything that, like, I set for myself. Same thing with like this podcast. I was like, okay, I'm gonna talk to 1,000 moms. I don't know how long that's gonna take, right? But if that is the goal, right? I think personally, if I talk to 1,000 moms, by the time that I get to 1,000, wherever this podcast is gonna be at, is gonna be where I
Yes.
want it to be at. After 1,000, like, showing up like that, I think it really just helps in everything that we do. So I love that for you. And I'm sure, the transition might be rough right now, being at your mom's place, but it's probably something of value that you're going to get there. Maybe you're supposed to be there for some other reason. That's what I tell myself. Maybe it's the thing before the thing. Well, actually, we needed to be here, and we'll find out 6 months from now that you were supposed to be here because this was supposed to
That
happen. This and that keeps happening so much in my life. Like this last year, I can say that like 100%. Like, I'm a film director, so I did 4 or 5 films I think last year. So part of it's a blur because I was pregnant, right?
pregnancy.
And so, man, right? It's like a whole thing just boop, and it just fast forwards in life. But it didn't necessarily work out the way that I wanted to with those films, right? Distribution, etc. But what I ended up meeting somebody because I was in that position that I was in. I ended up introducing to the person that I need to get to, and it would have happened had I not been going through that. So it's just crazy. We don't know why things are going to turn out the way that it does, but what I try to focus on are the things that I can control. And like what you can control and what I can control is I can control to a certain extent my attitude. I can control the discipline that I have towards something, right? I can control my ability not to give up and overcome the obstacle, like no matter what. And I feel like those are skills that, regardless of what situation that you're in, it's gonna help you. And like, those are the skills that I want to pass to my daughter. It's like, this is what you need to do. You're gonna see us, experience obstacles in life. My boyfriend is a perfect example of that. He's a survivor of epilepsy. So if you don't know what that is, it's a random seizure disorder, right? And so he's been experiencing that for the past 10 years of his life, except for this year, right? We're going to hit 1 year without him having a seizure in January
God is
27th,
good.
right? And so that journey has been like crazy. So I don't even have time to tell the story, but what happened on January 27th of this year, right? The last time he had a seizure, he ended up having, I think it was 3 or 4 in the same night. I rushed him to 2 different hospitals. And, I think it was the Holy Spirit that just told me, like, hey, you need to get to Hoag, which is a really great hospital out here in Southern California. And I have been researching this hospital because it's a level 4 center. If somebody's dealing with epilepsy, get to a level 4 center. Essentially what that is there's tiers as far as technology and like as far as knowledge. Like, they have a ranking system as far as how people can help you. So because he has a rare form of epilepsy, he was going to have to get to a really good neurologist in order for anything to turn around. I found this neurologist by the name of Dr. Milet, and at the time, right, we couldn't get an appointment with him. This dude is booked for like 3, 4 months because that's how sought after he has. He has 2 centers. He's one of the best in the nation, right? I was like, I have to get to him. He's associated with Hoag Hospital. And so the night that my boyfriend had 3, 4 seizures. We went to this other hospital, had a horrible experience, and he could have died that night. And something just told me, you know what, I'm getting in my car and I'm going to Hogue, and I'm going to force those people to call one of these neurologists to the hospital, because I know that somebody's overlooking something and it's just not the right person. I'm going to be adamant about it, right? I get to Hogue Hospital, rush him to the hospital. They get them hooked up to the machines, and I start being on their head. I'm like, you need to get one of these neurologists to come in. He has a rare form. Nothing you have here is gonna work for him. Get him to come in. So Dr. Milet is the head of that hospital's neurology center, right? He comes in from his house, like he was not working, like nothing. This is one of those only God situations. He does not do this. He comes in, he sees me, right? And I'm like, he's like, I'm Dr. Milet. I literally I want to start bawling, crying, because this is the person I'm trying to get to, right? This is the person I've been trying to get my boyfriend to this whole time, right? And he was just like, somebody said you were up here, like, adamantly talking like you needed a neurologist. And then I looked at your boyfriend's like charts and stuff. And so I just came in. He came in, he was at home playing with his kids and came into the hospital.
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
and then
Look at
from
that.
that moment, crazy, right? So he stabilizes him there at the hospital, right? And then what happens next is like, well, now you're stable now, but we need to figure out what's really going on, right? So he didn't have any appointments. He was like, okay, I'm gonna open up an appointment. We didn't have the right insurance at the time at all. We had HMO, we didn't have PPO. We were trying to get assigned to the group, couldn't get assigned to the group, right? And I was like, he was like, but I'll take you as a cash patient or whatever, right? Like, just so you can get in, and then we can figure it out later. That appointment was $500. We did not have the money at the time at all. I had just got laid off. I'm pregnant. All this is happening at one time. He doesn't have a job at this time either, because part of what we were experiencing was that he was getting discriminated against because he has epilepsy, right? And then, which essentially means we need to find him something remote. So all of this is happening, right? So we have to figure out how to get $500 so we can get this appointment. This is insane, right? So
A
what
whole
ends up
roller
happening
coaster.
is whole roller coaster, right? Like I end up figuring out like, okay, how we're gonna switch over the insurance, but the insurance doesn't go in effect at the time that the appointment, because the appointment is like 3, 4 days, right?
Oh my god.
So like we figure out how we're gonna do that and like moving forward, but that doesn't help us for the appointment in 3 days. So then I end up borrowing the money from one of my friends, because I could have got it from my parents, but I didn't want to bother them, right? Like I wanted to like figure it out on our own. This is one of those, let's figure it out. Figure out, our friend blesses us with the money. He's like, don't even worry about it. Here you
Please.
go. Y'all go to this appointment. We go to the appointment, and then he changes his medicine. He has in his heart, he has what's his chest. It's a vagus nerve system. So essentially it's a simulator that like sends out shock waves like that, like every like few minutes or so, to try to mitigate him having a seizure. So he tweaked that, and then he changed his medicine, and since that point he has not had a seizure, like
Hallelujah.
since that point.
God is so good.
And so, right? And so, if anybody doesn't know about like essentially epilepsy, right? So, once you hit a 1 year mark, right? Once you like, the likelihood of you having, as long as you pretty much do the same thing, the likelihood of you having a seizure goes down like significantly, right? So, he's been trying to get to 1 year for 10
Hmm.
years. And this is the 10th year.
Wow.
And the craziest part about all of this is that, come January 27th, we could really be in a world, right, where Sky never sees him have a seizure. That could
That is
really happen.
beautiful. You said January 20th?
January
Well,
27th.
that's crazy. It's 2 days before my twins turn 3.
Wow.
That
That
is
is wild.
wild.
That's
That
super
is
wild.
wild. Man, I pray
So,
that y'all don't endure any more seizures though, in Jesus' name. And that your baby girl Sky gets to see dad just function just as normal as can be, and that y'all don't have to worry about any of that.
it's been so much different, right, than what it was before. Like that year before, it was, my anxiety was on like 100, because at any moment he would just
Wow.
drop. Any moment. And so, and then it's kind of like the aftermath of it too is just like it's a lot on him, it's a lot on me. And then, he can't
Mm.
drive, so that's like I do all the driving, right? Which is not something I mind, but it's just more of like knowing that that's a thing, right? Like, and then that was something, when I'm pregnant, like, the other people were able to just run to the store and get something. That wasn't our reality, right? So we have to like Postmate stuff and like Uber Eats stuff or like call my parents to pick something up. It's like all these different elements of like how we move different, right? That like the longer he goes without having the seizure, like I guess like the more sense of normality it gets to. And then now, like I used to literally at night I couldn't sleep sometimes because I was just waiting on him
Oh
to
my
seize.
good.
Like just you're just waiting in anticipation that it's gonna happen. And so that's a lot.
My good.
That's just a whole lot.
But you had 1 year of not endurance. That's good.
Hmm. And it's just there's days where we don't even think about it anymore, and that like was not a thing. There's days that I don't even think about. We move the way we move because he has to stay on his keto diet. As far as like picking up Sky and stuff, like I'm the one who primarily does that at this age because it's
Yeah.
just safer, right? But other than that, we don't think
But
about it, which is insane
uh,
to go from like every other week him seizing to like where we are now. So that's for sure a blessing, for sure.
now I'm glad to
But
hear that. I'm glad that he has not been seasoned. I'm so glad that it's so good to hear.
yeah, so this boils me like it's a good segue, right? Segue to like I always say, as a mom, right? Everybody has their own
Yeah.
struggles, right? I remember there was a night because I didn't know at the time she was having food insensitivities, right? So she was like her tummy aches were going crazy. And she would just be screaming, essentially, like crying and screaming, right? For almost hours on end, maybe little breaks here and there. And like one night, I just didn't have it. I was lucky that I had my mom made it through the first like 3 months if it wasn't for my mom. My mom came in the middle of the night, right? And essentially was like, you go get an hour of sleep, then
Yeah.
regroup, and then I'm gonna help you with this, right? So, but for me, I'm one of those people who doesn't really like asking for help. I was definitely Miss Independent. Like, I still am Miss Independent, but I can ask for help now. Like, I didn't like having to ask somebody to help me when
Yeah.
it's my kid, right? Like I just didn't like that feeling. And so now I go by like drop your pride,
Oh,
build
I
your
love
tribe.
it.
So I feel like it doesn't matter who it is. You just need, as a mom, you just need
Yes.
somebody who's going to show up. Obviously, you have your husband, but if your husband can't be there, it could be a friend, it could be a parent, it could be a relative, like who it is. So, do you have a story where you had to, drop your pride and call your tribe?
Girl, I just had one. I just had one. And as you were talking about your mom being like a part of your tribe, it brings about my mom. I know that literally probably wouldn't have anywhere to go if it wouldn't have been for her. Like so, like you see, she's obviously a part of the tribe. She is always with the kids. As a matter of fact, she got them. They supposed to be asleep right now. They done talked her into, can we watch a movie? So they in there watching a movie, and she
Uh-uh.
got all of them, and they are all in there. And so the tribes are so necessary. But dropping my pride, I literally just had to do it just recently. I am still I feel like I'm still a newlywed. I feel like I'm a baby in this game. I know that it's 6 years, but it's like I feel like it's a baby thing just because I just feel like we're so young and not knowing everything. And so I'm just now all the way being able to just open up to my in-laws and be like, hey, y'all wanna watch them? Y'all wanna, like, at first it was like, I can do it, I can take care of it, I got everything, it's okay, thank you so much, it's all right, I got it. And now I'm like, whenever y'all want them, let me know. Let me know, because at one point, putting on the cape of being a superwoman was always great. It was a good thing. It was a fun thing. It makes you feel good as a mom
Hmm.
to say, I took care of all of my tasks today. But what happens the day that you don't get all your tasks done? Then you feel depleted. You don't feel like Superwoman. You don't feel like nothing. You feel worthless. Like you start listening to the enemy and all this stuff. And it's because you don't rely on the help that's around. And I'm like, when God starts showing me that about me, I'm like, whatever. Like, okay, let me go and ask them for help. Like a little pouty kid, but let me go ahead and ask them for help. And life has been so much easier. I have another friend. Her name is Brenda. I met her back at the school that I was working at. She was one of the young ladies that I just cling to that met me when I had the twins and when I had lost the baby. So she met my daughter when she was 3. So she's kind of just grown up with her and things like that. And she's literally just left our house probably just a few days ago. So it's you formulate family when you let go of your pride. And so like she's not even my blood sister, but she's my little sister. And so it's and she is they auntie. You can't tell them no different. And she definitely acts like it. So when you start to drop that pride, like you said, like you get a chance to build the tribe. So I do that. I appreciate that question because that statement on that dropping the pride to build your tribe is so true.
I think, you know, hopefully, you know, the more people we have that watch our podcast and listen wherever you guys are listening to, I think that's probably the biggest takeaway that I want everybody to get is just that, like, at some point, you're going to need help. Ask somebody, because you what it really boils down to, it's not even really about you, it's actually what's better for the kids. Even if it is something that's helping you, it's like you're not really in the best way to help your kids if you're not in a mental capacity, right, where like you're able to do it. And what mom says is like you can't function with no energy, no nothing, because then you start making mistakes, then you're not making the best choices. And so I think it's just really a better benefit if we're doing good, our kids
They
tend to do a lot better.
do. Because that's what we the byproduct of. Like generational curses are real. When our parents struggled or where our parents struggled, if they didn't heal, we have to find the healing. And then after we find the healing, we gotta pass it to them. Or if you don't find the healing, now your kids gotta deal with it. So it really is so real when you say like when the parents are good, the kids really are good because the parents really are trying to do their best to be in a good place. So, and that's a whole nother
So
conversation.
what
Generational curses, crazy thing.
yeah, let's get into that a little bit. Like, what do you feel like there's trauma that you had to heal from that, you know, now like you're healing from as a mom, and how has that shown up in your life, maybe in a negative way at first, and now like what are you working to do to make it a more positive
I say
experience?
for on my dad's side, he passed away from being addicted to alcohol. And he was also a diabetic. And so that's 2 generational curses right there. Diabetes and alcoholism. And so we literally well I we're doing a liquid week this week where we have like foods and stuff like chicken and stuff here. I'm so sorry you can't eat no chicken, but we got wings. And so we have those and then we have a lot of fruit. And so I've been doing a lot of fruit smoothies and things like that to try to break that diabetes and not have that even because and we don't talk about when the child has to be the mama too because I have to mama my mama sometimes because she hard-headed and she will do what she want to do and she know the doctor be telling her not to do it. So I got her now on the board of trying to eat healthy and eat the right stuff so we can break the generational curse of diabetes off of my and my mom's. I used to be way heavier than how I am now. Like after having all these kids, I feel like I'm the smallest I've ever been. But I literally used to be.
Wow.
My face used to be chunky, like this was so much of the nonsense, and I'm like, I am finna be diabetic if I don't get my life together, and so I had to get myself in order, and so that's one thing for generational curses, and the second one was his alcoholism addiction, and so I have to be careful or watchful if I'm going to drink or not. I really don't do clear or brown. I really only drink wine, and that's only on occasion or if my husband and I are having a date night. It's like having those stipulations and making sure that I set those boundaries and not go overboard trying to be drunk or anything like that. Just really most of the time it's just when I'm having fun with my husband. But any other thing, it's generational curses are real. You got to break them. And I feel like if you don't, your kids will suffer even if they don't know that you have suffered from it. They're gonna pick it up somewhere and you'll be like, how are you dealing with this? And you realize it's the same thing you were dealing with just a different face because you didn't deal with it when you were supposed to deal with it. And so it's a
Mhm.
lot with all of it.
No, I agree. That's so interesting. It's very interesting. Me and my parents, we grew up like very different, right? So my dad is from Compton, my mom is from South Central. So even if you're not in like from California, you heard what that is, right? So it's very much
Okay.
the hood. And so they had a lot of experiences that a lot of people all around, the US that are black people who grew up in kind of like low income, quote unquote hood environments, right? They ended up making it out, becoming college graduates, business owners,
Yeah.
whole bunch of stuff, right? So what happens is, we end up growing up, me and my brother, we end up growing up in the suburbs, right? And so it's like night and day. I always say like I'm the fresh princess of Corona. Like I was bad and bougie for real. Like as a young like for real. And so those experiences though are like night and day. And so I think the let's say like the quote unquote trauma, right, that I experience is a lot different than the trauma like my parents and my dad experienced and like I and my mom and like I can see how like I call it, PTSD. I feel like everybody who grew up in those type of environments has PTSD of some sort because you were getting exposed to things that you're not supposed to
Yeah.
be exposed to. You're not supposed to have people die every day. That's not supposed to
Right.
happen. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to be a child and worry about what am I eating. That is not supposed to take place, right? And so when you never just on that, let alone let's say throw in people who've experienced like, sexual trauma
Yeah.
at an early age or people who've experienced, like you said, drug
Yeah.
addicts, whatever, right? Throw all that in there if you never deal with it, it's going to show up later on in life. It's going to show up. It could just show up in your perception of people. It could show up in how you deal with conflict. It could just show up in so many different ways. And so I didn't start to realize how it showed up for my parents, I would say, until I
Mm.
was an adult and I was in my own relationships. And so I'm very mindful of some of the traumas that I experienced as an adult to actively be in therapy, like to work on things so that way that it doesn't show up in a way that it affects Sky, like moving forward. And then me and my boyfriend, we come from two different environments. He comes from more of an environment that's similar to my parents, right? Versus me. And so I think because, I grew up with my parents and have other friends from those environments, like it's fine. I'm very much aware of like maybe some of the things that he struggles with, but like I'm more on the empathy than like actually like the sympathy portion of it because I didn't experience that like at all. And so it is very interesting. I think, ultimately though, we have to just stay mindful of how things show up in our relationships and how things show up for our kids. So I would totally agree with that. I got
I
one more
wanted to
question
ask
for
you,
you.
how long have your parents been married?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They've been married. They just told me today, 38 years, which is
That
crazy.
is awesome.
Yeah, they were together before that though. They met at 17,
Um,
18. I always say I'm gonna make a movie about them one day. Like and their love story because it's really dope. I don't have time to get into all of it, but like the gist of it is like I said, they made it out and they ended up like bringing all of their family out to the suburbs too because they opened up businesses and they even ended up employing like my cousins, my uncles, like all of that. Like and so like both sides of the family just was totally different just off of them like going to college, graduating, and then doing something. It broke the generational curse of like let's say like, being poor. Like other people in our family have opportunities because of them. So crazy to think about that. They're like the older I get too, like the cooler I actually realize like that they are. I'm like, my parents are kind of cool. Because you're a kid, you're like, man, all right, whatever. But like, nah, my mom is like, she's really dope. My dad's kind of dope too. Like, okay.
it's so
All right, last question. What do you feel like is the biggest obstacle with having, like, with raising multiple children?
individuality, not giving them that. Like sometimes you can want them to
Hmm.
conform in the same line, do the same thing, be the same person. They cannot do it. They are not the same person, and that is honestly what we need in the world. Not for them to be in sin and be. I'm just saying for them to be able to express who they are, be who they are. Like my son loves purple for some reason. I don't know why he likes it, but he does. He's a very masculine little boy, but he loves purple. But back in the day, like in our like growing up, we would say that's a girl's color. You can't like that color. Like, but it's like, no, let them be individuals. Let them love the things that they love. Be okay when they want to do their own thing or spread their wings and climb up a chair that they've never done before. Like, let them do those things, because if you want them to just be one person, you should have had just one kid. You got to deal with 5 different personalities all the time. And even if it's just 2 different personalities, know that the comparison that we grew up or could have grown up with kills. Like, don't compare them. Let them, so and so got curly hair, so and so got straight hair. That's cool. Don't be like, oh, her hair better than yours. Like, and I don't know why it seemed like we kind of grew up in generations like that, where it would be like little smart, quick comments that you don't realize get in your spirit real
Mm-hmm.
fast. So and then you start believing what they say. But it's just simply just there, just to let them have their own individuality. Because when you start to compare, it can kill their spirit. It can kill who they are. They are individuals, and just letting them grow in themselves while growing in God at the same time, is something that I'm always learning, which they surprise me every day concerning God. My little boy was talking about Joshua and Moses and everybody and their mama, a 4-year-old, the other day. And I'm like, well, okay, because I homeschool too, and we do mainly biblical teaching, and the basics of what they need for reading and math and stuff like that. Just knowing that they are grasping what I'm teaching by seeing that he is like that, and I'm not like talking to my elders are like, well, why you don't know the word like he know it? Like, those are the small things that that you may experience in a home that's important to know. Like, don't do it. Like, don't compare them. Let like, you don't know what the girl is, or you don't know what the other child is really getting, because they could be internal and they make the best moral decisions, but he can be verbal and he speaks the best. And he may make horrible decisions morally, but know the word. I mean, like it's like an adult. But I honestly think that that's really all that I would give for advice for anybody that's having more than one child, to let their child be that child. Don't try to make that child be another kid.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like that's a perfect way to end our conversation today. So, where can people check you out? They want to reach you, get to know you. I don't know, get some Bible help, get some life help, whatever it is. What are your socials?
It
Shout them
is
out.
Camille Iana on everything. I have Camille Iana on TikTok, on Instagram, on, what is it? What else do we have? TikTok, Instagram. That's what I get on.
I don't know. We get no.
But what else they be using? Whatever else they use, it's gonna be Iana. It's CamilleEyanna, and it's super easy to find everywhere.
Love that. All right. So if you guys want to reach out to her, go ahead and hit her up. This has been another episode of the Mama Mindset. Again, we have the goal of talking to 1,000 moms. So if you would like to be one of those moms, or one of those moms, then go ahead, have one of those mamas hit me up on Instagram, Threads, at the Real Scribe. You can also hit us up on the YouTube channel, everywhere you get your podcast from, the Mama Mindset. We are here to help moms live, laugh, learn, and love. I'll catch you next time.